Don't believe me, just watch. Don't believe me, just watch.
All right, we're back on the Morning Brew with friends. We got the couch full of friends this morning, and we're brought in Curt Fletcher here. Curt's a local Albuquerque comedian, but he's one of a handful of locals who's been able to make it big. I mean, you've had great success. You tour all over the country. You play clubs all over. And this is your 9 to 5, essentially, is comedy.
Yeah.
How did you end up, you made the transition from being just local club guy to nationally touring comic. You've written for Showtime. I mean, how did you make that transition yourself?
I actually worked at the comedy club when it was open here. And
You'll Laughs.
Yeah.
I loved
and
that place.
I did a lot of networking when I worked there, so.
Because they would bring in
just
comics
meeting all
from...
the comics that came through, like I was able to be like, yeah, hey, if you need an opener in Little Rock next week, I can go.
No way.
Yeah, so
That's
stuff
cool.
like that, yeah.
That's cool. Were you a comedy nerd guy? Were you the guy who was like, oh really?
Exactly.
I grew up like watching like
Yeah, I started watching when I was like 4.
when I was like listening to Led Zeppelin records, you were like trying to find like old Bill Cosby albums or something, or what?
Yeah, I was George Carlin and
Oh yeah.
Eddie Murphy when I was like 6 years old, which I probably shouldn't have.
Well, how did that change now that you're a professional comic? I mean, do you look at those guys and say, wow, they were really ahead of their time and they were really killing it?
Yeah, it's weird watching comedy as a comedian now, you know.
Yeah.
Because when you're younger, you just you don't get the jokes really. You're just laughing because he said a swear word.
No, yeah, or a fart joke or something.
Yeah. And now it's you can see how brilliant it is. Like just the little wording of each joke, is just brilliant. And
Is that a skill anybody can learn, or is that something you have to kind of be born with? Because as a writer,
I don't think you can learn it.
You think so?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've seen a lot of comics come and go. Like they just can't do it.
Yeah,
like they try really hard. And it's really hard.
The one-hit wonders of the comedy world are people who come up with one good set.
Yeah.
And then they can't do it again and again and again. Mm-hmm. What happened to comedy in Albuquerque, though? I mean, we had Laughs that was killing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And and then every night, 3 or 4 years ago, there were
open
mics
shows,
here and there.
I mean, we've still got some open mics here and there, but I mean, it's tough to just perform in front of comics all the time.
Right, and it became a lot of inside baseball, one comic telling another comic another joke, right? And it became joke critique night, essentially, by a lot of comics. But what happened to that whole scene? Did it just kind of fizzle out?
We've got a lot of great comics here still.
Yeah. How do we lose the momentum, I guess, is the better way to put it.
What's that?
How do we lose the momentum?
I don't know. It's just a weird thing, I think.
Yeah. Comedy is cyclical too. Much like musical trends, I think.
Yeah. It's weird how like if the economy is bad, like comedy is at its peak. Like it does really well. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Comedy loves trouble.
Right. Well, and you think about even probably the funniest commercials were during the recession.
Yeah, because when everybody needs to laugh and wants to laugh.
Yeah. Is that something that now that the economy's coming back, we can have the kid dying in the back commercials? I mean, not to.
I don't know if the economy's good enough yet to have a kid dying in the commercial that you're talking about, but it's close.
Is that too much of a leap that I'm
We're going to
making?
have a real good year. But yeah, I have noticed that. I'm curious because I'm a fan of comedy too. Where are the venues now? Are there still?
There's some open mics here in town.
Well, the big one's at Nexus.
Nexus on Tuesday nights is really
That's an
good.
excellent
I like
venue
that
for it.
place.
Yeah,
the
it's very
brewery
cool.
is great. The food's awesome.
Food's great. You can get some,
Yeah.
and the soul food on Tuesdays there. Which is
I've heard.
yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah, it's really good food.
And then
Santa Ana has a Thursday night comedy show every Thursday.
The Santa Ana one is a professional show, though. The one
And
the one Nexus is open mic with locals. Yeah.
Santa Ana will have a local opener every Thursday, though.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And the other big nights that, if you want to just get back into comics, there was that Hookah Lounge by UNM had stuff for a while. Are they still doing
running that for a while.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that one. I think he's doing it at Tractor right now.
Yeah, there was a lot more of this for a minute. It
There
seems
was,
like now it's just kind of fallen off. But but that doesn't mean comedy is dead. That doesn't mean
Definitely
the scene
not.
is falling apart at all.
No.
But you were able to take that and really go to this next level. I mean, and I remember 3 or 4 years ago, you and I were talking, and you were doing kind of regional touring. But now you're really, you personally now you're stepping it up, and you are going to try to do it on a bigger stage, aren't you?
Yeah.
How what are you doing personally here? You're taking it You're moving out of Albuquerque.
Yeah,
hate to admit
I'm
it.
going to LA. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that really just where you have to be to make a comedian?
I think you just have to be out of Albuquerque.
It's tough. Yeah,
It really
tough
is.
here,
Yeah. Like I love Albuquerque, and I love the.
You're
scene,
from here.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard to leave, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've done everything that I can do here.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of opportunities do you think will be in LA?
I'll be able to get on stage probably 3 or 4 times a night.
A night?
Yeah.
At at different clubs?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What does that do to a comedian?
It's momentum, like
Yeah.
you know. I mean, if I go over a week without performing, like you get a little rusty.
Oh.
Yeah.
And how does that factor in? You always hear comics talk about paying their dues on stage. Is that part of it? It's just
yeah.
that practice, that rote performance every night.
Yeah. Yeah. I did open mics for years and years and years.
Where do you find time to even write new jokes? If you're
Well, I do a
doing all
lot of
this
short jokes, and they just kind of come to me. So, I mean, a lot of times they're just, weird remarks that I make to people, and I'll make it into a joke. I'll write it on a napkin or save it in my cell phone.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll set aside an hour per day and just write. I mean, even if it's not funny, I'll
just get
I'll
some
try and
words
come up
on
with
paper.
something, yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we get you up here? We set up a microphone for you. Why don't we
Okay.
get you up here to tell us some of those one-liners?
All right.
When is your show, by the way?
I got
real
one
quick?
next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
or this Thursday,
This
actually.
Thursday,
At
3 days from
Imbibe.
now, February 5th at Imbibe.
It's a cigar bar.
The cigar bar, which
I
I
have
love.
asthma, so
Even better.
yeah, it's going to go really well.
Don't stay too
great.
long.
No, I'm
Make it a short
excited.
set.
It's always a good show, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
And it's
Imbibe-
free, so
It's
come
a
on
free
out.
show at Imbibe. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you share some of your jokes with us,
All right, I'll
show
tell
us
some
what
jokes.
we're
All right.
going to see on Thursday night at Imbibe.
All right, cool. All right. So for fun, I like to go trick-or-treating at the Alzheimer's Center. Every night. Yeah, take that, Ronald Reagan. I got busted staring at this girl's cleavage one day. She was wearing like a Playboy tank top. And she got really upset. She was like, what are you staring at? And I was like, the articles. So that was fun. A few months ago, I got a ransom note in the mail, and it was actually addressed to my neighbor. And I was looking at it a few days ago, thinking, "Ooh, whatever happened with that?" And I was looking at it, and I was like, "Yeah, he probably didn't have $25,000 anyway." So I opened his bank statement, and I was right. I got in an argument with this homeless guy one day. I was just walking down the street by the Frontier restaurant, and he's like, "Hey, give me $1." And I was like, "I don't have $1." And then he yelled at me. He's like, "I want the truth." And I said, "You can't panhandle the truth." And he was like, "Ah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good." He high-fived me and stuff. I was at my brother's house the other day. We were listening to some death metal music. He's a big fan of death metal music. And I was just thinking the whole time, like, I wonder if this guy always sounds like that. Like he's at Thanksgiving or something. He's like, "Grandma, pass the turkey." Or he's like flipping through the Alibi and called about the free cats. Or he's working at Dion's. "Darlene, your order's ready." My girlfriend lost my sweater recently, so now I'm looking for a new one. And the new one better not lose any of my stuff. I went to Mexico not too long ago. I went to Mexico and I bought some books for my nephew, and I didn't realize they're in Spanish till I got home, so it's kind of weird because he doesn't speak Spanish. He's only 5. He doesn't really speak English all that well either. But he's pretty upset. He's looking at the first book. He's like, "Hey, who is Jorge Curioso?" So that's Curious George. The next one, he's like, "Donde está Waldo?" That's Where's Waldo. He's a lot easier to find in Mexico, by the way. Okay, actually, I get to travel around a lot, and I get those books on tape, and I got a Where's Waldo book on tape one time. It was pretty interesting. It was silent for 45 minutes. And then the guy was like, "Oh, there he is." I've noticed a lot of people here in New Mexico name their kids Hito. Kind of weird. I grew up in Iowa. There are no Hitos. For fun, I like to go trick-or-treating at the Alzheimer's Center. Every night. Thank you. My name's Curt Fletcher, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Curt.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Kurt's going to be performing on Thursday at Imbibe. Don't miss it. It's a free show.
Free.
But the drinks are there.
There's
cigars
drinks,
are there.
Yeah, you can smoke in there.
It'll be an awesome, fun show. I'll be there Thursday night.
Cool.
Check that
Can we
out.
buy you a drink?
It'll
Yeah,
be one
of
of
course.
Kurt's last shows in Albuquerque before he hits
Yeah.
LA for the big time. So it's your last chance to see him here on the smaller stage.
Yeah.
And we're going to be coming back with a lot more discussion on the Morning Brew with Friends.